My name's Michael Smith. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of Bushwacker. And my friend here, Carter Echols, is a longtime friend. And you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Carter Echols. Thank y'all for taking the time today to participate or listen to the webinar that Michael and I have presenting. I will turn it back over to you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
All right. Yeah, guys, give us a minute here. We're still getting back in here, but I'll go ahead and do a little introduction to the cocktail and to the company. Just a reminder, today we are not discussing financials, projections, or use of funds. We will be taking any other questions. Just you can type them in, and at the end of this, we'll go through all of them and answer them, and stay on here as long as you guys want us to and discuss anything we need to there. But the Bushwhacker cocktail, let's start there. It was originally concocted in 1975 on St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands by a couple of people working at a bar. One of them's name was Tom Brokamp. Just spoke with him the other day. And they were trying to come up with a type of recipe that was somewhere between the mudslide and a white Russian, or somewhere between the mudslide and the pina colada that they could be known for there in the Virgin Islands. And he said he had no idea after the few weeks that they spent coming up with that it would become so popular. Um, it was actually named after a dog that was frequenting the bar, named Bushwhack, that everybody fell in love with around there. And he was around when they finally finished the recipe, and that's who they named the cocktail afterwards. And then wasn't very long after that, he said that people visiting down from Florida started taking it back and making it at various different bars along Pensacola, the Gulf Coast, down to St. Pete, down near Miami, and a lot of the coastal bars, and then throughout North Carolina, Louisiana, and all. It got very popular, and for a lot of years now has had a cult following that's grown into quite a recognizable drink there. Festivals every year in quite a few states. There are sailing races, there are fun runs and whatnot that are all in honor of the Bushwhacker cocktail. And here recently, it's become one of the most searched cocktails on Google in quite a few states. And that's where Carter and I come in. We Back in 2019, we were looking at getting into the alcohol industry. And after spending a little time down on the coast with my brother, we decided to make some bushwhackers. We grew up having bushwhackers all through our 20s, and it just really reminded us of vacation and the coast and where we like to frequent and travel to. And our family members, our wives and family members were coming down to visit us, and we were the first ones there. And we decided to make some good old fashioned bushwhackers, and that was about 2 o'clock in the evening. We drove around town to five different stores before we had all the ingredients, because we wanted to make some of the good ones. There's many recipes, there's many homemade recipes out there, and when we got through several hours later, and the kitchen just was destroyed, and we had some nice bushwhackers, what we sat there and pretty much said to each other was, "Why hasn't anybody ever put this in a bottle like margarita or pina colada, or some of those drinks?" And that's kind of where we started here. And it was just a short time after that I traveled down to Sarasota, where Carter was living, and had a little presentation for him, and said, "You want to go into business with me on this?" And we had not seen each other in a couple of years, but we'd been friends since we were 5 years old, and grew up right down the street from each other. And Carter called me back within 24 hours and said, "Let's do it." And that was at the end of 2019, and that started our journey together as part of the Bushwhacker history. We're just a small smidgen of the 50 years it's been around, but we're happy to be a part of it, and happy to be sharing that with new people that are coming into the company. But you heard me mention 50 years there. This year's the 50th anniversary of the cocktail, and we're really excited about that. We are planning a lot of promotion around the 50 years the cocktail's been around, and it has surprised us since we started how many people are have such fond memories of it growing up. There's been people reach out from every state in the United States to us and just asking us, hey, where can I get this? I love it. Every time I visit coastal areas, this is one of our favorite drinks, and we didn't know any of that when we first started up. We were hoping, but we uh, we went through COVID hit right when we started trying to get this thing going, headed in the or started up, and Carter and I thought that might be the end of it. Luckily, we are very persistent and very hard headed, and we powered through working from home and making calls all we could in the first of 2020, and got 110 cases bottled in May of 2020. There's a picture on the screen there of the first 110 cases that came off, and Carter grabbed one of the bottles and looked at me and said, "Do you think anybody's going to buy any of this?" You remember that, Carter?
I also remember that, yep, that was
May the 5th.
May the 5th or 6th. I can't remember the exact date, but you promised me for my birthday on June the 10th that we'd have our first sale. And that was going to be my birthday present. I remember like it was yesterday. The You just missed about 1 week. We
We
got
did.
we
I
got a
didn't.
call from Littman Brothers, or an order sent in from Littman Brothers out of Tennessee
Mhm.
for our first order ever, Michael.
We sure did. The only reason I missed it by a week was I didn't foresee all the paperwork that went into shipping it to a new state, Carter. I would have hit that projection had I calculated that in. But well, anyway, as Carter says, we started up a social media page and a website, and we were fully expecting to spend probably a year and a half to 2 years taking this 110 cases around. That one pallet, we had that pallet you see us leaning on there. We had about one and a half of those, and we expected to be taking those around to distributors and showing them to them and letting them take us to stores and trying to get some stores to want to order it, trying to get some distributors to see it and hope they saw what we did in it, that this is a great cocktail with a long history, and this is a convenient way for people to have it at home. And that's one reason we ended up with the recipe we did. We wanted the concoction to be uh, somewhere between some of the most chocolatey coffee ones we've ever seen and some of the more bland ones, somewhere right in the middle to where it can be drank just like it is and just like a margarita. In Nashville, we saw a really popular straight over ice one that had been being served for quite a few years, since about 2010. And then on the Gulf Coast, most all of them are frozen. And we wanted something that hit right in between those two. And when you take it home, you can either pour it over ice or you can mix it in a blender with ice. And if you want to flavor it a little more chocolatey, you can. If you want to add a little peanut butter whiskey to it, you can. If you want to drink it just how it is, or add a little 151 on top. We really tried to make a versatile product that would fit everybody's recipe, because what we found out is there's 100 different versions of it out there that all are slightly different, and according to whoever's taste makes it, and nearly every bar out there makes it different. So we wanted something that could be used and they could make it their own and make it exactly how they've been making them for years, but use this bottle as a base if they wanted a more convenient way to do it. And anyway, so as Carter said, we shipped some up to Tennessee. Sent the first half pallet, which was about 30 cases, up to Tennessee. And next thing we know, a lot of distributors who most of the people were working from home then, they started seeing our social media page and talking to some of the retailers, and we were given a call from Florida, then chatted with a broker in Alabama, and next thing you know, we were off to the races before we could even figure out what was going on. The Within 30 days, we had to figure out how to make some more as fast as possible. And so we concentrated on that for the next 3 months and uh, put our life savings into the company to try to make as much product as we could, and drove around when people wouldn't meet with us. We met through a lot of windows with COVID still going on there, and we I think by the third month we had made 3 batches, and we were then trying to figure out how to make 2,000 cases at a time, and that was something that we were just not expecting, and that started us off on the sales and expanding into different areas. As you can see here, stores. I was blown away. One of the first stores in the Florida Panhandle that we walked into, and it was stacked up like you see here in the picture. They had ordered 20 or 30 cases. And our manufacturing capability, we were having it co-packed at a distillery that helped us start it up. And it was, we couldn't make it fast enough. We were having to allocate it. And that was something that I'd only heard of, was some of the hard to get scotches and bourbons and whiskeys at the time. But the first time I walked into a store and saw 20 of the cases stacked up, I called Carter and said, well, we have to prepare for this thing to really grow and to really start selling. And that's when we really started concentrating on how fast can we grow this. And we spent the next year trying to make more product and trying to meet the demand that was out there. And one of the demands was a smaller 50 mil bottle. So we had the flagship product we had, as we call it, the original. It's a 750 mil bottle in a nice glass bottle that we wanted something that you didn't mind taking to a dinner party or taking to out by the pool or anywhere. But a lot of people wanted some convenient ones. So our next little venture was getting the 50 mils out there, and those took off as well. And then bars started reaching out to the distributors and saying, "Hey, we're pouring this stuff into our frozen machines. But what are we doing? What do we do with all these bottles?" They were using the bottles and pouring it 750 milliliters at a time into the frozen machines. So we heard that, and after, I guess we were almost 2 years into it, Carter, still trying to make enough of the original bottle to meet demand, that we said, "Hey, we've got to make a bulk package here, a concentrate for the bars." And we started working on that, and it took about a year to a year and a half to get it dialed in. But that's what you see on the right there is the bulk package, and it's very easy. I've got it right here behind me. It goes into the frozen machines. It is easy. They just pour half of the mixture, half water, into one of the frozen machines. We've already got it formulated to freeze just right, just like the margaritas do, and that really has taken off, and we're real happy with it at this time. And it's something we really didn't expect at all at the time, did we, Carter?
No, but Michael, these people on this call, I know y'all are all here to hear about investing and helping us get this product. I do believe that this bulk package and the new items that we have in store are our future growth exponential. I think that what the bulk package is only in the state of Alabama at the moment, with maybe some parts of the Panhandle,
Yeah.
and the volume that could be produced out of that is yet to be tapped fully. I think it's fairly new product for us. I think it's a big growth opportunity.
Absolutely. And I've got a slide we'll hit at the end of it there, Carter, and show the with the little map and all. And I think we can get into that a little
Okay,
bit about
I'm
the bulk package opportunities. And as Carter was mentioned there, I had popped over to this slide. What we've been asked for by some retailers are, since we're in the ready to drink market, they're like, "Do you have a family of products? Because we're loving your product, but we would love to keep the same theme and have something here where you've got several other products that we can put together in a 4 pack, or all on the same shelf, separated, that's all of the same. So we've got several products in development. These aren't finalized here. We're still working on what packaging they're going to be in, what sizes, and exactly what the flavors are going to be. But we've been working on some things like a margarita, blue Hawaiian, hurricane, and we're wanting to stay with the coastal theme and meet what we're being asked for. And we're going to try to make all of them as similar to Bushwhacker as we can, where they can be enjoyed over the rocks, at home, or with crushed ice in a blender as a frozen drink too. So we've got some really good opportunities on the table with the new products, and we're working on those. We're hoping to get those out this year, but that's going to really increase our shelf space in the areas that we're already in, and create a full package of products for some of the new distribution areas as well. And one reason we're wanting to lean into it, the RTD type products, is because it's one of the fastest growing segments of the industry for a lot of years now. You can see with the chart, ever since 2015, it's really been growing quite a bit, and it's even projected to reach 23 billion by 2030. And we really think that the brand Bushwhacker, our existing product as well as our new ones, are positioned to take a big slice of that pie and be a staple in the industry of the ready to drinks across all of the really across the nation. Some of the retailers that we've already gotten shelf space with are Total Wine, ABC, Hy-Vee up in Michigan, places like the Hilton's, Walmart liquors carry us, Winn-Dixie, Piggly Wiggly, 7-Eleven, Rouse's Markets, Festival Foods, Sitco, and we've reached a lot of these retailers and really even haven't tapped uh, the full expansion that they have in place. We're in not in all the stores with each one of them in each area because of our manufacturing capability that we've been working the last 2 years to scale. We've had to hold off on some of the placements, and we're now put in a position to start rolling out to a lot more of these stores. We're in quite a bit. We're in 100 or so of the Winn-Dixies now. So we are rolling out to more of these stores, but there's a lot of potentials still left. As Carter mentioned earlier, the frozen mix. Yeah, I mean, we're in one state and plus 10 counties now, and we're selling everything that we can make. So Carter has grown the manufacturing capability of that, and here in the near future, once we enter the next phase of growth, that is we're in 17 states total, a lot of them partial, but we're going to be able to roll that out to all of our partners out there, and we really think that that's going to increase the volume quite a bit because we're primarily off premise right now. We have a lot of on premise, the bars and restaurants do carry this product, but their biggest interest is in the bulk packaging, and that's where we're headed with that. Um, the one of the reasons that the original one is we believe is so popular is because people love sharing it on social media. We've that's I would say, Carter, within the first 30 days of even creating the Facebook page and the website, and we were just overwhelmed. I mean, we were spending half our day responding to messages and people sharing recipes, and as you can see in the videos playing right there, it's just constantly every day our marketing team are sending me links that people are messages they're sending us, the shares they're doing, just promoting it just because they're fans of Bushwhacker. And that's why we really feel that it's such a strong presence. We're the first ones to put it into a bottle. We have some IP, some trademarks surrounding Bushwhacker, as well as we've established the brand name as Bushwhacker on the label with the federal government. So we've got a lot of protections in place so that we are the only ones who can put the Bushwhacker in the bottle and mass produce it like this. And we do believe that it is the like the first time the margarita and the pina colada mixes were put into a bottle and put out there, and now they're on every shelf every shelf that you go to, every grocery store out there, aren't they, Carter?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
And
right.
little background for Michael is a he exited the tech community and before we started this, and he is our tech guru, and he is. I will have to give him kudos to understanding the Facebook and the social media platforms. I think that was our biggest leap forward during the COVID pandemic in the start. Michael's expertise in that is definitely not mine. I think that's why we complement each other. So, my background is more so in the grocery retail business. Michael is in the tech savvy stuff, and he has done a wonderful job in being able to understand the social media community. Without that, this doesn't even get off the ground, right, Michael? Would you agree?
Yes, Gordon, I appreciate the kind words, but it's the Bushwacker, man. The Bushwacker name this is easy for us to market for our team. We've got a great head of marketing now too. I started that, but he's taken over a lot of that. Will Sanders, and it is the Bushwacker name is easy to do. All we have to do is put it in front of people. There's it's such a well-known name and brand out amongst the cocktail enthusiasts that it takes on a life of its own. That's something that I don't think we can create. That we're just we got lucky enough to be a part of there. It's really akin to the some of the brands that social media really helped grow. Was I mean you've known a Tito's and a Rum Chata. You've seen those. Those guys, people really loved sharing their recipes and mixing with it, and those brands and at the stage we're at, when those brands were at the stage they are with us, they didn't have near the momentum that we do now. Their first 4 or 5 years like we're in, they were struggling before they really caught their legs in year 6, 7, and 8, and that's right where I feel we are is on a path to match the momentum that some of those brands which were just organically had a really great social media presence. Naturally because of how the product looked and the way that people like to share it. I really think that this brand has a lot of the makings of those types of virility campaigns. So, no, the and speaking of that, when that happened and the growth started hitting, one of the issues we ran into was that Carter and I had not prepared for it, and we you have to really prepare your the manufacturing, which that's what Carter's great with. He handles our manufacturing and our dealing with the relationships with our co-packers, but we had not planned for the growth that hit us over the first 2 years, and so we were limited on how much we could make, and we've spent the last 2 years increasing the manufacturing to enter our next phase of growth. So that's what we've really been concentrating on is how to be able to adapt and manufacture more when we need to and get all of our supplies down, which we started during COVID and things were limited, and now they've started to free up, and it's really positioned us really well to start to serve our next growth phase and to really take this nationwide and to just a catastrophic, I mean, into a completely large scale scalability production run here, Carter. And that's you spent a lot of time. Give you kudos since you gave me a little bit. You've spent a lot of time over the past 2 years dialing in what needed to be done with that. And I think we're in a position now that once we're needing to ramp up the manufacturing, it's not going to be a problem to scale, is it?
Not at all.
Oh, awesome. The This is a little bit of a snapshot here is where we've rolled out our original product is now 17 states. And this is a great footprint for us. But as I did mention earlier, we're not in 100% of all of those 17 states. We wanted to go ahead and get into some of them so that we've got a good foothold when we do enter the next phase. But some examples is like Illinois, we went ahead and rolled out in 10% of the state, but we didn't have the manufacturing capability to meet the distribution for the rest of the state. So that's all part of our next plan. Is a large portion of it is going to be going deeper into the states that we're already in, as well as using the new products such as the bulk concentrate and some of the new flavors to go deeper in shelf space in both in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, some of our core areas where they really know the Bushwacker name, and then let those organically expand to the next ones. But we've got everything really set up for it to grow fast through distribution and really grow deep. So since our footprint has spread a lot, we've got a few targeted areas that we're going to here soon, but we're also going to really try to go deep in the territories that we're at, meaning picking up more retail locations and expanding the shelf space in the locations that we already have products in. We've had a 132% increase since 2022 in the retail points of distribution. We've got a total of 32 distributors between those 17 states. So there's been no shortage of interest from distributors. That's the one thing in the beginning, Carter and I were very surprised. I mean, the first comments we were told was it's going to be tough to get distribution, wasn't it, Carter?
Hey, yes.
And luckily that hasn't been an issue so far. They see how well the product is doing at retailers and chains in other states, and we're able to negotiate good terms with the distributors and have a great relationship with all of them. Here's a little bit of an example of how deep we are in some of the states, and even this graphic is updated. It's a little bit higher, but for instance, in Florida, we're carried in almost 1,000 locations. Alabama, 627 locations. Georgia, 512. Tennessee, 422. Mississippi, it's been carried in 328 locations. So that's really a great example there of how deep it gets once we've been in there for a few years, and the retailers start to understand that it's available in their territory and start to carry it. And we get really good rebuys through all of those, and it's the customers are driving the demand. Once we announce on social media or somewhere that we're now carrying it in a new state, our distributor calls us and says, "Hey, the retailers are calling me because customers are coming in and asking us, do we have this yet?" So they're like, "Go ahead, let's go ahead and get it here, and let's let's get it to them." And one of the ways that we try to introduce it has been one of our best sales tactics out there, and that's through doing tasting. So we're really have really strong programs on doing in-store tastings throughout all the retailers. We do a lot in Total Wines and different stores down in Florida, and we've expanded that in Alabama. We do some, and quite a few other states we're starting to roll out our tastings. But there is a high level of sales when we do the tastings. As we like to say, when you put the liquid to the lips, they'll take a bottle home. A great example is Carter, right there around you in Sarasota. There's several stores that in the past we put on a tasting once a month to see how it went there, and between those few stores, I mean, you were doing all you could do to keep them enough product there, weren't you?
Correct. They
Yeah.
were buying 50 cases at a time, Michael, and selling it at a very rapid rate. It's been very well received in Sarasota, in the surrounding communities. And I also think that's a good point that I don't know all the crowd that's listening, but Sarasota is home to no Floridians. It's home to visitors that go back all across the world. Um, and I really think that has helped us in the Michigan and the Wisconsin markets.
I would say so, Carter. 90% of the messages we get online are from people who have either have vacation homes in Florida or have visited Florida, and they're wanting to know, hey, at my favorite bar, my favorite restaurant down there, I had a Bushwacker. When is it going to be available here? In some of the northern states, they don't make the frozen ones, of course, and so when we get it up into those areas, the people love it because it's a take home and make it at home version, and it's yes, because so many visitors come through Florida, it's really made our expansion easy, I believe.
And I said Sarasota, that's kind of a small spot, but Tampa, Sarasota, Orlando, Miami. I mean, I can't remember the exact number of millions of visitors that we get down here to the great state of Florida, but it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I'll go ahead and roll through because we are running low on time, and I want to get to everybody's
uh,
questions that we'll look at here in just a little bit. But one of the great surprises we've had, we came up with this recipe, and we knew we loved it, and we knew everybody that we showed it to begin with loved it, and then it was thought well of in the areas that Bushwhacker is really popular. We've gotten so many great comments. One thing that was some great surprises and has really helped us get a lot of credibility out in the market for being so young is the competition wins. We basically for most of these competitions we basically pull a bottle of our stuff off the shelf, put it in a box, and send it out. Especially with the big win we got here, the San Francisco World Spirits competition. That is one of the most well known and well respected tasting competitions in the United States and across the world, the Tasting Alliance. And early last year, we were alerted that we got double gold medal, which meant every judge, can't remember, I think there's about 20 judges or so that drink that taste each product, but that means that every single judge that tasted it gave it a gold medal, which is the highest honor they could give it. So we were 100% on that to get the gold medal, and then they let us know a couple of months later that we were one of the finalists for the best in class in the rum-based RTD products. And in October, we were given that award out of all the hundreds of entries. We were chosen as the best in class. So those were two very nice awards. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from that, and it's really opened up some additional doors with some of the chain retailers. So we've been really happy with that, and as well as some of the other the WSWA tasting competitions, the 50 best RTD cocktails, and of course a beverage information group giving us the Growth Brands Rising Star Awards. It's Carter. A lot of these were a surprise to me. I knew we liked it. I knew everybody we gave it to did, but you always have in the back of your mind, do we just love it because we're close to it? And this was some validation that us and the consumers were on the right track, I believe.
correct. I would agree 100%.
Mhm. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on from here. Is there anything else you want to say, Carter? We've got a good team here. Me, Carter, Eric Daigle, our operations director, Will Sanders, the head of marketing. We've got a great team built out. We've got manufacturing ready to scale. We've got a proven product now. We've got retailer points of distribution. And Carter, I mean, we're set for our next phase of growth, and I'm ready to get after it. How about you?
I would agree 100%. And I want to put somebody else on our team that's not listed here is the lady that helps me the most, Miss
Yeah,
Carrie
absolutely.
Beckwith is she is our head of logistics, I guess, more than anything, and
That's
keeping
right.
Michael and I straight. How about that?
Absolutely. I love that. Well, I'm going to go ahead then and move on to the to opening up the questions. And you guys have put any in there. We're about to look at them, and Carter and I'll talk to those as much as we can. But let's see, Carter. I think I have to
The
hit.
first question would be, how does Bushwacker Spirits differentiate itself from other ready to drink cocktail brands in the market?
That's a great question. I've got one. I've got a good answer loaded for that if you want me to take it, Carter.
Go for it.
Uh, how do I answer it live? Okay, it says I can type it out, but I'll just go ahead and talk about that. Uh, we had a lot of discussion about that when we first started this. We we went around and looked who was our competition. Um, what we found was nearly every retailer, especially where Bushwacker was well known, nearly every retailer, when we would go tell them this was a cream liqueur or they would brand it as a rum RTD, we saw in the beginning that people were putting us in different areas, which was we were confused at first, but it turned out to be a great thing. Is wherever their customers normally look for this type of drink is where they put it because we walked the line somewhere between a ready to drink cocktail and a cream liqueur. Um, but what they didn't do was compare us to much of anything else. There's a couple of cream liqueurs, but that out there that several stores compared us to, but in their minds, we were the Bushwhacker cocktail in a bottle, and the only competitors are the margarita and pina colada. So I guess some of the comparison is the pina colada, the margarita, our packaging, our persistence with sales, our I mean our uniqueness of our the brand name is really what sets us apart more than anything. I mean, we could I could get with Will and we could go through our marketing Q and A's that we do about how to stand apart from everybody, but we're just really one little piece in Bushwhacker's history that there's 50 years of the Bushwhacker cocktail being a staple that this company is just able to thrive on. And I would say the Bushwhacker name is the number one differentiator, full stop. How about you, Carter?
I would agree 100%.
Yeah. Um,
On to the next question. Could you elaborate on your product development process and how you decide on new offerings?
Oh, that's another great question. Where most all of it begins is with the marketing company. As I mentioned, Will Sanders before. He's worked with a couple of the bigger companies before, Sazerac being one of the last ones, and he's seen the marketing process for that. So he between Will and some advisors that we've had in the past, we start with a baseline of what would complement Bushwhacker. What is something where there is a hole in the market? What is something that we can leverage our existing brand and our existing shelf space to do it? And we come up with anywhere from 30 to 50 ideas, and then start running those through the process. Most of those are led by our the requests that we've got. All of our distributors reach out from time to time and say, "Hey, have you guys ever thought of doing this? Have you ever thought of doing that?" So we take that into account as well as what the market trends, where they're headed, as well as what will complement Bushwhacker because we are a coastal and lifestyle brand. We want to portray that, so we're going to stay within that because that is just what Bushwhacker's known for, and we want to leverage that part of Bushwhacker's history and its current branding. So we take that and we start whittling it down through sending out some of the initial product the product designs to some retailers that we know and some of our distributors. Because if it doesn't have shelf appeal, then it's not something that's going to be sold. And we find out what they're willing to carry. We know that's the first step of it is to get something on the shelves for customers to gravitate towards and to see and want to pick up. And from there, we start the tasting process. We did it just the opposite with our original product, but we're trying to build everything around this brand of products. So now we start with what will complement that, and then we start the process for trying to replicate a cocktail that people already love, and that's where we're heading with it. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to make a more convenient package with well-known cocktails that are served in the way that is most convenient for people to take home and for bars and restaurants to use without having to mix five ingredients, four ingredients, or three ingredients, and deliver it in a way they want it at a price point that makes sense for them. But we can get more into that process. I could talk all day about the nuts and bolts, but that's kind of the high level side of it. Carter knows I like to go on and on about that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go to the next question. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges in the ready to drink market over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, saturation is already happening to some degree, and uh, the good thing is that the market is growing and the trend is towards convenience. RTD is all about convenience. So I think that packaging is going to continue to adapt. We see that in a lot of brands already. The federal the TTB actually just came up with some new fills because a lot of the sizes that you see out there for alcohol brands are limited by the amount or the size that is allowed by the federal government. They just opened up the door on a lot of different sizes with some new regulations recently. And as soon as the states start adopting those same sizes, I really think you're going to see the RTD market expand even more than it is because you're going to be able to go into the store and buy it in every shape or size as you can pretty much as you can any soda or fruit drink out there now, Carter, and it's just going to create more shelf space. You came from the retail side of
Right.
it, and a size to fit wherever you've got to go it in there, put it in your store is going to be the golden key, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The biggest opportunities I see in that is it says anonymous. I can't say your name, but it. I think that if you've gone into a convenience store in the last year and seen Buzzball and what it has done, we are hoping to replicate following somewhat of their footprint with a higher quality product at the same price point. And I don't know how many gas stations are in the United States, but there's a lot of them. And I think that is our growth opportunity.
Yeah, several hundred thousand or more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Next
yeah,
question. Next question. Are you manufacturing the product or using a co-packer? I can answer that. We are currently using a co-packer.
that's
Michael and I, when we first started this, were considering getting into the manufacturing business, but our company overview was to find a simple solution to a problem. When Bushwacker was a nightmare to make, um, we put it in a bottle for convenience, and our company overview was to get this to a certain level and sell it to a bigger person, right, Michael?
yeah, yeah. That was originally that was it. But as far as the manufacturing, if we want to stay focused on that,
Okay.
we really thought that we thought that we would start bottling it. What we didn't know beforehand, I had traveled around for almost a year visiting distilleries and breweries and getting to know the industry before we started this. And what we didn't understand was how much tougher it is to deal with a cream alcohol product versus just a basic spirit like rum or vodka or one of these RTDs that doesn't have cream into it. And not long into that, we ended up going through a couple of different co-packers because they could not expand rapidly enough or handle the cream properly. Luckily, we ended up with one very near where most all of the dairy comes from up in the northern United States, and that co-packer has been wonderful. They handle some of the biggest brands, that cream brands out there, and they are currently co-packing ours, and we've had a great relationship with them. They've done a great job, and we don't see any reason for us to try to tackle that ourselves. And we've got a great relationship, and I think we're getting it at a price point that rivals what we could do even if we were doing it in house ourselves. So we're concentrating on the marketing because we have such demand. We're concentrating on the marketing, putting it out there, and relying on partners that Carter keeps a very close relationship with and a very close eye on. and they allow him to do quality inspections and whatnot. And so I would say that's our answer on the manufacturing while we're co-packing, wouldn't you, Carter?
Yeah. Next question. Could you describe your experience working with distributors and what has contributed to your successful expansion to 17 states?
Our two things. It's pretty simple. We don't even have to elaborate very much. The Bushwacker being such a well-known name already, and people recognizing that brand, and the sales and demand that are happening organically through social media. The people are going into the stores asking for it. They're asking their distributor for it. And I mean, there's been some states where we've had several distributors reaching out to us in the same areas of that state, and we've had to make choices and decisions. It's been really a lot different than we were advised in the beginning was going to happen, and so that's been really great, and we've been able to negotiate some really good contracts and ended up with some really great distributors. So it's been we've kind of had a Cinderella story there. Is it's been a lot less painful than I think a lot of other brands go through.
All right, the next question, Michael, then is I received an email with the title Final 24 Hours to Save Your Spot. Is this
Ah.
referring to getting in my payment for a share?
No, we March 28th is when the offering ends. And we're not, that's something I don't think we're supposed to chat a lot about, but the offering ends March 28th, so you can go there. You have a little bit of time, but feel free to follow up with us after this, and we can send you a link to all those details.
All right, Carter. Next question is Carter. What is your background in CPG retail, consumer packaged goods? All I can say is that I have been in the grocery business for 20 some odd years. Um, I have seen what has worked and what did not work in the consumer packaged
Yeah.
retail world. But other than that, I think that'd be my background.
You grew up in it though. I mean, your dad and your granddad were in it, correct? So you were, and
Correct.
everyone. So you were from age 3. You were helping put stuff on the shelves.
Correct.
I gotcha.
Correct. Okay. The next question. How does the team approach building and maintaining relationships with retailers and distributors?
Oh, that's a really good one. I like that question there. That was has really tough. We went through about 2 years in the beginning of a learning curve there. The industry has really changed. We came in right at a turning point, I think, with COVID hitting. The alcohol industry, well, we found out had been built on in-person relationships with distributors and chain retailers, and once COVID hit, a lot of those people's roles changed. We watched a lot of people that we became friends with really quickly lose their positions with distributors that in this industry. Some people that ended up being some advisors for us there for a while, and that had been at their jobs for 30 years. But so we really tried to hit it hard with traditional boots on the ground everywhere we were at to begin with, from our internally people within the company. And we found out that the changing landscape with the distributors, they preferred for either for you to have some consultants that have several brands that can have one meeting with them and the retailers, and to help maximize the time spent with them. And it has gone a lot away from in-person meetings to a lot more video meetings and a lot more organized through technology, organized process. And so we have a good team with us, and we also have someone contracted that helps do that. But we stay in touch with the distributors and which retailers that we can. Our distributors have to help us with the retailers sometimes, but having good distributors as partners and an internal team, and even some consultants, some contractors, it takes That's one of the biggest parts of this is staying on top of that, keeping on top of any type of deals that are going on and any type of promotions, and making sure that everybody's happy. But it's a 3 hour discussion with our marketing guy Will. We're happy to put you in touch with him and go over that. But that's what we found so far from a high level, I would say, wouldn't you, Carter?
Correct. I would agree. Next question and last one, it looks like. What role does social media and digital marketing play in your brand strategy?
Well, Carter is our CFO, and so he sees the budgets, and I think he can tell you here are very large, correct?
Don't get me started.
Yes, it's very large part of it, and luckily we didn't have to educate with our brand. That's one of the things that really drew Carter and I to starting this. Is I had, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I had traveled around and met with some great people with some great brands that had rum distilleries. They had breweries and whatnot, and things that were better than a lot of what I see on the shelf. And they had not expanded outside of a few counties in their area, and had really tried hard to do that. Um, with Bushwacker, what I'd seen with some of the brands was it took a lot of money to start a new brand, educate people what it was, and get them used to that product and that brand name. And even then, a huge portion, and we're talking about 90 something percent of them, would fail within the first 2 or 3 years because it just costs so much to educate and to market in the beginning, and really get people to try your product. We were able to cut through all of that simply because this is something that so many people already know. And it really got us through that hump of not having to go through those hurdles. And so the social media and digital marketing, it's 80% of our budget, probably our working budget outside of payroll, but it's probably 80% of our budget, and it's really what creates the demand in the sales, because this sells itself, but people need to know where it's available, and they need to be reminded of it, and that's what we try to do with the digital marketing and the social media. But it's a huge part to give a short answer.
Yes, and I would like to, I guess that's the last question, Michael, but thank everyone for attending. If there is any other pertinent questions or follow-up, how do they have our information, Michael, the people that are participating, that they can get in touch with us? We're more than
Yes.
welcome to jump on a call, email another meeting on the side, whatever is needed. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, she'll be Ashley, that worked with us and helped set this up, with the marketing company. She'll be sharing that in this, and I think she'll have a lot of the contact information as well. So, yeah, we're happy to follow up and let you guys give you guys any more information you want. We'd love for you to come be part of the team. We're gonna try to grow this thing, and we're really happy with where it's headed and looking forward to this next phase. And Carter, we're just going to put our nose back to the grindstone and talk with anybody that wants to come on board and go continue to head upwards, right?
Correct. I would agree 100%.
Well, thanks everybody. And we're going to sign off here. And like we said, just follow up with us if you want to chat anymore. She's also got the link to the offering if you want to jump in there. And we've got some fun stuff to do in the future. And thank you so much.